knows what way can get it right. But I have my doubts. So during the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts making back out. Yes, I have my doubts. But to wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. So roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make him back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So no wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. The things I think, well, I lie awake and contemplate at night. Wearing me out.
Proverbs 21. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice, and high look and a proud heart, and the ploughing of the wicked is sin. The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but of everyone that is hasty only to want. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a vanity tossed to and fro of them that seek death. The robbery of the wicked shall destroy them, because they refuse to do judgment. The way of man is froward and strange, but as for the pure, his work is right. It is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with the brawling woman in a wide house. The soul of the wicked desireth evil. His neighbor findeth no favor in his eyes. When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise, and when the wise is instructed, he receiveth knowledge. The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness. Whoso stoppeth his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard. A gift in secret pacifieth anger, and a reward in the bosom strong wrath. It is joy to the just to do judgment, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and an angry woman. There is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up. He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness, and honour. A wise man scaleth the city of the mighty, and casteth down the strength of the confidence thereof. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. Proud and haughty scorner is his name, who dealeth in proud wrath. The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labour. He coveteth greedily all the day long. But the righteous giveth and spareth not. The sacrifice of the wicked is abomination. How much more when he bringeth it with a wicked mind? A false witness shall perish, but the man that heareth speaketh constantly. A wicked man hardeneth his face, but as for the upright, he directeth his way. There is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, October 8th, 2014. This is your host, Mike Callahan, and welcome to the Watchman News. Wow. Yeah, for those that are new to here, we always start out with a chapter of the Bible. That happens to be Proverbs 21. Wow, where to even start? Going to say a few things before we get to Suspicious Observer's Daily Report. Wow, it's been a busy day in news, and that's a lot of what I want to speak about tonight. I normally don't drone on and on about God or things like that, even though this is a God-based or a spiritually based show. I normally don't do it just because it's not so necessary. He has asked me to start out with a chapter every day, and I do that. I just kind of add it in where it's necessary. But I've been blessed. Many people have been blessed with a group of people that is doing everything in our power to be able to get the word out, to get the truth out, to be able to debunk the mainstream media. And it's sad that I even have to say that. It's crazy when those that we're supposed to be able to rely on, like our government, like our news media, when we can't, because they're both just absolutely telling lies, or they're not telling the whole story, or they're misguiding mystery. It's ridiculous. I mean, we're even seeing this issue with Ebola down in Texas. They're trying to turn it into a race issue. Really. They're doing everything they can to divert from what is going on. And that itself is an extreme concern to me, because that shows the motive behind what they're doing. Because I don't know of a leader of a country on this planet that would purposely just allow their citizens to put themselves in harm's way without even making an announcement near the truth. I seen Obama the other night. He said, he made the statement about how it was, quote unquote, hard to catch Ebola, or hard to spread it, or I don't want to misquote him. Either way, it's the same thing. And it's not. One of the things we're going to talk about tonight is the second case of possible Ebola down in Texas, and it happens to be a county sheriff that wasn't even in direct contact as far as I know, with Mr. Duncan himself, which, by the way, may his soul rest in peace. He did pass away reportedly this morning. He didn't even come in direct contact with him. He just went into his apartment and he contracted it. Or at least that's what it looks like. You know, beyond that, you know, he was asked to bag up his clothes he was wearing. They took the officers' cars that responded to the situation. They they took them, more or less quarantined the cars, or however you want to word it. But they're still telling the public, nah, don't worry. This is no big deal. We've got this all under control. And I have a lot of questions because those that are awake have been watching the buildup of many, many things. Laws, executive orders, coffins, ammunition, weapons. You know, when it comes out, I've seen reports today about coffins, about, now they're talking, the CDC is talking about hermetically sealed coffins. Well, just so happens to be the coffins that they've been stacking up and storing, in different locations around the country. And yeah, a lot of us, quote unquote, tinfoil hats have been jumping at conclusions ever since we seen the first images and videos coming out about the coffins. We've been going, okay, they're going to be for this, they're going to be for that. And we were just trying to warn people. We were trying, something wasn't right. We seen something wasn't right. We were just trying to get the word out, trying to wake people up. But I'll tell you what, this is the good thing is each and every day that goes on, we're starting to look a little less and less crazy. The bad thing is, that is the bad thing. Why we have to look less crazy. All the things that we were just, quote unquote, dreaming up in our heads. Wow. Some amazing stuff. And I have to ask the question, and it can go one of two ways based on the information that I know, and I'm sure others know more. But either this was something that was maniacally planned and architectured and put into place, or, and I will say or, see, the government has a computer program. It's a huge computer program, and it can predict things. And they've had this for a long, long time, and they've just enhanced it more and more and more over the years. So I would venture to say it would be one of the two things. Either this was specifically designed, orchestrated, and implemented to happen, or they had a heads up ahead of time. I don't know. Either way, the important thing is that we protect ourselves and our loved ones and people we don't even know. It's not that hard to care about people that you've never seen, you've never met, you've never talked to. Folks, this doesn't have to be the world that it has turned into, where people sit behind their computers and they just attack other people because it's safe that way. It's easy that way. It doesn't have to be that way. We used to be a world that cared so much more about one another, and we need to return to that, and we need to return to it quick. Because when things go nuts, it's going to be us relying on each other. Because I'll tell you what, we're not going to be able to rely on the government to save the day. It's not going to happen. Even if it was in their interest, it's not going to happen. I've said it before, they can't even deal with a natural disaster like Katrina, Sandy. How do you expect, and I'm talking about an isolated natural disaster. How do you expect a nationwide pandemic? And I do believe that's what we are looking at here. Let's not fool ourselves. If this county sheriff got this by simply going into Mr. Duncan's apartment, then it's definitely spread a lot easier than what they've been trying to let on to everybody. So anyway, I've got a lot more to discuss. I've got some very, very important links to share with you to be able to keep up on things, and just some other information for you. We will be covering stories about what's going on straight off of those links. And let's go ahead and get suspicious observers out of the way. And then I got another video for you just to kind of, I don't know what to say, kind of to support what I'm saying. And it's a video that I believe is a couple of years old, by somebody that I really don't even care to follow, but he was just absolutely dead on with what he had to say. And I figured I would bring that back up from the past and show it to you, because there have been people awake, a lot of people awake for a very, very long time. But everybody's been shoving us to the side because, we're just conspiracy theorists. We're fear mongers. And hey, no man knows the day or the hour, and neither do we. But we've known for quite some time that just something is not right. I mean, it was obvious. It was obvious. The signs were absolutely everywhere for those that took the time to look. Now the puzzle's starting to come together. I personally would like to know how they knew. So without further ado, let's do some suspicious observers and links down in the About tab as always. And I will be right back.
Good morning, folks. We're starting with a new animation from NASA's Scientific Visualization Studio, this one depicting the geocentric coordinate systems used for taking measurements along the trajectory of certain satellites. As I jump ahead in the animation, note that a couple of these systems are fluid based on the position of the sun relative to Earth, so they are constantly changing as we go through the year. Well, you might be sick of me pointing at the southern coronal hole and discussing an earthquake uptick, but the wait is over. We already saw the 5.9 strike the Mariana Islands as Vongfong passed overhead, but we also took a 6-pointer in China last night that the Chinese government claims was a 6.6. Multiple deaths confirmed and hundreds injured. Also took a 6.2 near Baja. More on the quakes in a moment. First, data missing on Bartol is nothing new, but it's only concerning when it appears that the current status of a sharp rise is left off the charts. Solar wind, relatively calm in speed, but we're getting major density readings. We'll have to watch the geomagnetic indicators today. Meanwhile, the solar flaring continues to be pitifully low. This is again tied to the sunspot trough, which is enhancing the earthquake watch. The incoming spot down south is coming into view a bit better now, especially on the Dopplergram. Just as quickly as those solar tornadoes formed, the plasma filament began erupting, and the twisters are about gone now. It was otherwise a very calm day on our star the last 24 hours. Couple notes, as they've got to fix a generator at this nuclear plant or risk temporary shutdown and delays. We've also got oil spills reported in the Bahamas and across the pond in the UK. Never like seeing those. So we know that Vongfong is headed for China and likely set off that Mariana quake, but look at the developing cyclone in the Indian Ocean, not far from that China quake, and as it strengthens, we've got another potential Earth spot rumble. India on alert. By the way, you never want to see all those red signals for buoys turned off during such an event. Not a wise decision. We've also got the latest rapid scat readings linked for you folks. Interestingly, the remnants of Simon making landfall are not too far from the Mexico quake we showed earlier. That's 3 potential Earth spot quakes to start this quake watch period. The moisture from Simon has begun to come ashore into the U.S. Southwest, so we just await any potential flooding that may occur. Meanwhile, the convergence crests up near New England after curling out to sea and having its tail creep back across the United States. The storm warnings tonight follow those lines with snow to the northwest of the convergence and again, the flood watch in the southwest. That low in Europe has dipped south a bit and the convergence runs across a larger portion of the mainland now. You can see this change as the cloud lines follow that convergence down across France and Germany. Storm alerts for this evening should be no surprise. That Antarctic low from yesterday has indeed shifted a bit east, and it's New Zealand's turn once more. We've also got lesser alerts at the southeast and southwest corners of Australia. HelioViewer hasn't updated for 5 days. We're at SDO for shots of our star to close. Earthquake watch starts with a bang. Hopefully it'll be short-lived, and don't miss today's lunar eclipse. It's cloudy where I am, but get out while the sun is below the horizon if you can. Eyes open. No fear, it's 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
That was Ben Davison with Suspicious Observers. As always, links in the About tab. Also, the opening video I did once again with Brittain, Duckworth, Doubts, because it's just so fitting. That link is down in the About tab as well. Awesome video. I do want to mention the blood moon that Ben Davidson had mentioned at the end of his show there. It was absolutely gorgeous. I went out, I wanted to see it for myself. Unfortunately, as with most phones, couldn't get a good shot of it or anything like that. I really wished I could have. It was absolutely beautiful. It was nice to experience that. I missed the first one in the Tetrad, and I really do feel that that there is some meaning behind the four if I can speak, the 4 blood moon Tetrad. I really do think there is something behind that, some meaning behind that, and it was just nice to see it, soak it in for a little while. Thanks to my wonderful girlfriend Jennifer for the phone call, waking me up so that I could experience that, and yeah. So here we go. The media, the news. I wanted to start out with a little video that I had seen a couple of years back when the Occupy Wall Street movement was going strong, and I normally don't follow this man or any men that are in the same genre, for lack of a better term, because a lot of them are just they don't fuel the right things. They really don't. But when they went off air, he was doing a radio show, and when he went, an actual professional one, imagine that, when he went off air, he just went into a rant, just started speaking off the cuff, like I do this show. I don't do anything scripted, and I never will. And he just went off, and he spoke more truth when he did that, that it was just shattering. I mean, it caught my eyes, it caught my ears, it just spoke to my soul when he did this. And I wanted to share it with you because I'm sure that so many people have not seen it. And even back then when he did it, there were so many people that didn't see it, that really needed to see it. And a lot of people, you mention the name and they're like, oh, I'm not interested. And I would have probably been the same way. But I am going to share it again tonight because I think it was very important, and I think it's very important now to what's going on with this Ebola situation. Folks, this is not H1N1, okay? This is not. This is a totally different animal here. This is something that kills up to 90% of the people that get infected. That is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And we have a media that is doing everything they can to stifle it. So let me play this video. As soon as I get done playing the video, I will share some important links to you. And the little bit of information that I said I was going to have after Suspicious Observers was on the Watchman News Facebook page. Very soon, hopefully, I will be putting a list together in the notes of as many of the websites and YouTube pages of this team that is working together in concert to bring this information and this news to you as quickly and accurately as possible, so that you have a list that you can go yourself and look and view at your own leisure. Everybody's got different schedules. Everybody's got different preferences. The most important thing is that this information gets out, and that the information that gets out is accurate information. I'm telling you right now, these folks do not play around. They're not going to be posting stuff like that you see on Godlike Productions or, and I'm not trying to shame anybody or anything like that. but there's some tall tales that I see that come out on there. They don't do that. They don't do that. The information that you get from them will be right on point. It will be accurate, and it will be timely. I can assure you that. I've seen Michelle today just posting like crazy. As soon as stuff would come out, bam, it was there. And that's awesome. Jason was doing the same thing. So I've got those links for you. Let me play this video, and I'll share those links with you. We'll do a couple stories from them websites, and we'll go from there. So without further ado, I know I've been withholding the man's name. I'm trying to keep you here. So, but just pay attention. Just listen to what he's got to say. Give him a chance on this one subject if he's, not somebody that you particularly care to listen to, because I myself don't. I don't, but give it a shot. Here you go.
When a chemistry experiment sparked an explosion.
That's good.
Hazmat crews are still on the scene. A nurse who worked for Michael Jackson took the
There's so many people who don't know that.
Conrad Murray today. Sherilyn Lee testified.
And they don't know it because the media is bought and paid for.
Surgical anesthetic.
This is a hell of a betrayal of the American people when you will not tell them the truth because you're afraid that if you tell the truth, your bosses will take your job from you. That's a hell of a thing. You don't have a democracy when you don't have a free press.
Go to CNN.com.
You're all slaves, and you love it. So you deserve what you get. The erosion of your democracy. You'll soon be the laughing stock of the world.
That works out to less than 50 cents.
It's a damn shame. That's why the children are occupying space in New York, in Boston, in Washington, in Chicago, in San Francisco, in other cities. Why? Because they're not looking to you as a source of information for them. Look how long it took you all to talk about what was going on in New York. It took you 2 weeks because the same people that controlled the banks controlled the media. You all know it, but you're afraid to say it. But God put it on Farrakhan to say it for you. And maybe one day you'll get some courage to stand up and give America free media. A real free fourth estate. But right now, you ain't even worth the time of day.
Local news headlines, traffic and weather up next on WVO.
I'm glad. Hell, I'm not hiding nothing. You need somebody to tell the truth.
That's right.
You need somebody that's not afraid to die for the truth, that you could be made free. Because you're not free. And you don't really know what it means to really be a free white person, a free black person, a free Mexican, a free Arab. If you're afraid to tell the truth, what future does your children have in a society where truth is brushed to the curb? I thank God for the young man that invented this wonderful technology.
Steve Jobs. Yeah.
Steve Jobs. That's the man that's freeing the whole planet, where Zbigniew Brzezinski could say, yesterday it was easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people. Then now he says it's easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people, because the genie is out of the box, the cat is out of the bag, the people all over the world are waking up. And you need to wake up and free America. Then you'll have a future and your children will have a future. But if you're afraid for what? You're going to die anyway.
Right.
Where can you run to escape death?
Ma'am?
If you love America, then fight for America to be free.
Yeah, I know. It's probably nothing.
Nothing. Shouldn't I I don't know, like.
I'm not in the best mood.
I know you're great. You're in a great mood.
That's right. Thank you.
Top of the hours, it'll get a minister.
Yes, sir, brother.
I know, you're right. You're right. And I bet you're moving and I'm recruiting.
I'm not only hurting for Gaddafi.
Yeah.
I'm hurting for us.
At the top of the hour.
That thing, who let the dogs out?
Good point. Thank you.
What has just been done has let the dogs of destruction out.
This message brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
He made so many good points there, other than Steve Jobs being the one that created the internet. But I do know that you do have an alternative media that's there. I know, I'm seeing it every day. I'm seeing them work hard every single day. Jason, Michelle, Heidi, Danny, David, they're doing everything they can. Because you're not going to get it from the banker-controlled, corporation-controlled media. You're just not going to get the information. You're just not. I don't know what to tell you. If you're getting news from TV, you're getting it from the wrong place. Period. You really are. There's a lot of things that don't even add up. I mean, we were discussing this in a Google Hangout. They were doing a live press briefing. I assume it was live. Who knows anymore? And, the person that was being asked questions even said, well, we'll take a few more. And all of a sudden, just that quick, they cut them off and cut the cameras. For whatever reason, they felt that it was necessary to get that guy off the air right then and there, as quickly and as abruptly as they, same thing, as they could. I mean, apparently they were worried about some information that he might have shared or some question that he might have been asked or whatever. No, shut down, get off the air. It is crazy, the information that's being suppressed. Absolutely crazy. So let's go check this out. Let's go check out a couple of links here. And I'm telling you, this is an awesome place to be able to get your news, especially with what's going on. First link I'll show you is alternativenewsgatherer.com. It's down in the About tab. Click on it and definitely bookmark it. And I showed this yesterday, I believe it was. I'm going to show it again today. You go right here to the right side. You click that. And again, I really don't know about these web-based news readers and how they work or whatnot like that. But I do know you go right under the options here and click here. You put in your email address every day, roughly about 3:30 Central Time. Get the email. Get an email with all kinds of important information. A lot of it is Ebola related at this time because of the situation. It's a dire situation, folks. It really, really is. And while we're here, we'll go ahead and read what she's got. The WHO warns against unprotected sex for male Ebola survivors. Refrain from unprotected sex for 90 days. Sex could keep the Ebola epidemic alive even after the World Health Organization declares an area free of the disease, one of the discoverers of the deadly virus said on Tuesday. The WHO is hoping to announce later this week that Nigeria and Senegal are free of Ebola after 42 days with no infections. The standard period of declaring an outbreak over twice the maximum 21-day incubation period of the virus. However, it appears the disease can last much longer in semen. And they're not talking about guys on boats. In a convalescent male, the virus can persist in semen for at least 70 days. One study suggests persistence for more than 90 days. The WHO said in an information note on Monday. Certainly, the advice has to be for survivors to use a condom, to not have unprotected sex for 90 days, said Peter Pia, a professor with the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, Father forgive me, and a discoverer of Ebola in 1976. If we would apply the rule for double the time, that would be 180 days, 6 months. I think 90 days, is probably a compromise for practicality, he told a news conference in Geneva. Ebola spreads via bodily fluids such as blood and saliva, but it has also been detected in breast milk and urine as well as semen, the WHO says. The whole live virus has never been isolated from sweat, however. More than 3,400 people are already known to have died in the world's worst Ebola outbreak on record, the vast majority of them in 3 West African countries, Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. Important things to remember. Now, I'm not a virologist. I am not a medical, and I'm obviously not a good speaker, but I'm not a medical expert. But I do question why it lasts so long in semen. It may be that it's in a living host or whatnot. I'll have to try and find out information from that. There's a question for you, Jason. So anyway, I do know that they were talking. There's been varied reports about how long it will last on a surface, and somebody had came out and said today that it was just merely hours or whatever on a surface. And I do know, from my understanding, from these communications that we've had in this Google Hangout, learning a lot there, that that this thing will last like 4 hours or so, or 4 days. I'm sorry, like 4 days, if I'm not mistaken, and like just normal, I guess the regular room temperatures that we have now. From what I do remember, it lasts much, much longer than that in a cold environment. And we do have winter coming on, cooler temperatures coming on. This thing is hitting at the very worst possible time. It really, really is. Now this, I was telling you a while ago about an interview to where they just cut the guy off, the camera's cut off, and this was the gentleman right here that was doing the interview. I'm not quite sure how long that video is going to be. It's probably going to be the whole interview, and we won't have time for that. But that is the particular interview. So if you want to watch it, you know where to go. AlternativeNewsGatherer.com, and it's right there. I mean, just scroll down and you'll see the video right there. So anyway, let's continue on. I'm sure, as you already know, Frisco patient exhibiting Ebola symptoms had had contact with Duncan. I'm sorry. A news conference has been called in Frisco, a suburb of Dallas, to discuss a possible second case of Ebola. The patient claims to have had contact with Thomas Eris Duncan, referred to as Dallas Patient Zero. It is not clear how the patient had contact with Duncan, or if the patient was one of about 50 people being monitored by the state and local health officials. This is a developing story. CBS 11 News will have more information as it is available. Now, I'm not quite sure on that information, and the reason why is because it has came out that it was a county sheriff, and that he went in, from my understanding, he had went in to write up paperwork, I guess quarantine paperwork or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I do believe that Mr. Duncan had already been away from that apartment when the sheriff had entered it. I do recall somebody saying that his family was in there or whatnot. This is crazy. I'm telling you, this is crazy. It's going to spread, and it's going to spread fast. I do want to share at least one more thing from you from this page right now, because it is important, and I want to link this to something else. And if you don't mind, do a little research, do a little homework, go to Google, search Operation Mountain Guardian. It's that simple, Operation Mountain Guardian, and you will see exactly why I'm making sure to mention this. Shopping malls and sports stadiums will serve as an impromptu Ebola quarantine zones. With the refusal of the Obama administration to close America's southern border, Americans are vulnerable to a bioterrorism attack involving Ebola. With the refusal of the Obama administration to close the airports to travelers coming out of West Africa, Americans wait helplessly for Ebola to spread throughout the country. And it's not just that. They're dropping the ball on every step of this. Everything. They're dropping the ball on the whole thing. The inevitable quarantines, as in West Africa, it is difficult to imagine that a massive quarantine is not America's future. The imposition of such a quarantine, would involve 6 prerequisite resources. Number 1, a significant number of permanent facilities designed to house Americans long-term. FEMA camps. Unlimited numbers of temporary facilities designed to, I believe that's house Americans in an impromptu fashion. Number 3, a sufficient number of personnel to man the aforementioned facilities. Number 4, the use of ancillary personnel, like local law enforcement, to support the main martial law occupation force. Number 5, the pre-positioning of hard assets such as military vehicles, weapons, and ammunition. Bells should start ringing in your heads by now, folks. The creation of the legal authority to detail millions of Americans. I believe that's detained. This particular article addresses the vast numbers of temporary facilities which will be needed to quarantine millions of Americans on an impromptu basis. The legal authority to do so, and the pre-positioning of military assets needed to carry out the mission. Now, I just want to throw some things at you with that information. Okay, they've been putting all these MRAPs at all these cities and all these towns and all that. The DHS, the Department of Agriculture, the IRS, the Teachers Association, or whatever the government teachers, whatever is called, their organization, they've all been getting ammunition and weapons and all kinds of supplies, all kinds of stuff, bulletproof jackets. I mean, you name it. They've been getting all kinds of stuff. And, you might wonder, well, why do the teachers need all this stuff? And what is the Department of Agriculture? And, we kind of almost understand the IRS since they are now in charge of the healthcare. And not that we should be understanding that, but I mean, there's almost a link there. Why do teachers and why do, people that are in charge of the farmers and all? Because they are pre-positioning this equipment. It's what it is. They're staging. That's what I'm saying. Those that have been paying any attention have seen what has been going on for quite some time now. I mentioned FEMA camps, it's crazy. And then let me bring up Connecticut, because in Connecticut right now, they have declared a medical state of emergency. So let me take the cherry coating off of that. Medical martial law. That's what that stands for. Medical martial law. And why in Connecticut? To my knowledge, to any of our knowledge, there has not been any cases suspected or confirmed in Connecticut. So why there and why not down in Texas? We do know what's going on down there. How come Texas isn't under a medical martial law? And I do know that they have been, at least one gentleman I've seen reported that they did, more or less grab them and say, hey, you're going with us. I get that. Okay. But it's not the entire state that's under this like Connecticut is. It's crazy. We should all be asking questions. All of us. We should be calling the CDC asking questions. We should be calling our representatives in office and asking questions. And we should be pushing for honest answers, because that's not what we've been getting. We've been getting a bunch of runaround. We've been getting a lot of lies. We've not been getting full stories or anything else. And time is of the essence. This virus isn't going to wait for us to decide that we want to speak out about it before it spreads further. It does not work that way. It's not going to wait until this new season's episode of The Walking Dead is over. We have to act, and we have to act now. I recall like a year or so, maybe a little longer ago, it was us. And I don't mean just myself personally, or Michelle, or Jason, or Danny, or Dave, or, but it was a group of us, right? that had actually prevented an invasion of Syria. Remember when they were claiming that, the government were gassing their own people and all that stuff? It was us speaking out in social media and getting the word out that stopped our government from doing anything. That was us. Pat yourself on the back. But we've got a job to do. We've got more information to get out there. This is the best way to do it. This is one of the websites right here. Share this website with every single person you know. And the next website I'm going to bring up right now. Oops. I get my head out of my butt, everything will be fine. Just fine. Saving the Truth Movement. The link's down in the About tab. It's generationnwo.blogspot.com. The link's down there. Bookmark it, share it, live it, love it, like it. You know the story. So anyway, I do want to show you on his page. I mean, he's got a bunch of great resources. Right here, he's got some wonderful resources. He's got the Flash News Network page. He's got the Heidi's YouTube page. I'm really honestly not sure of this page. Of course, it's Michelle's page. This is my YouTube channel. This is Kafka's channel. Bunch of good information here. X-22 report I see. Yeah, bunch of wonderful, wonderful information. So it is definitely something you want to bookmark. So his top thing is the Continuity of Operations Pandemic Accord Webinar Ebola Outbreak. And I honestly don't even know what that is for sure. But it looks good. It looks interesting. I will have to check that out after the show. Anyway, let's go ahead and do this story here. That's the one I had seen earlier and figured I would do for the show. Second possible Ebola patient. Update. Ailing Sheriff's deputy who visited Ebola patient's apartment taken to Presbyterian Hospital. The Frisco patient has been identified by his family as Sheriff Deputy Michael Monet. The man's son said his father had been monitoring his temperature since last week and went to the clinic out of an abundance of caution. And we've heard that. We've heard that term several times. Abundance of caution. We've heard it several times. Our Ava Marie, wow. Some of these names. She reported, "We don't want to cause a panic," Logan Monig said. "There's almost no chance my dad would have Ebola." No. The deputy told his family he had stomach pain and fatigue. Because the symptoms came after a visit to Duncan's apartment, he decided to play it safe and get checked out. He spent very little time in the apartment. He did not come in contact with Mr. Duncan or any bodily fluids, his son said. "We're just waiting for the facts right now to make sure he's okay." There's a little video there. I watched it earlier. Here's an update at 3:30. The Department of State Health Services says the Dallas County Sheriff's deputy who went into urgent care clinic in Frisco complaining of Ebola-like symptoms was not, I repeat, was not among the 48 people under close monitoring. So he wasn't one of those. In other words, they didn't tell him to stay home or anything like that. And I have to ask you, how many people does a county sheriff speak to in a day's time? How far could that virus have spread in one single day? No less, however many days it's been. Frisco officials say the patient claimed to have come in contact with Thomas Eric Duncan, but the state says there was no direct contact between the two men. We understand that anyone near the Dallas response will be very concerned about any health issues they experience, and we want them to report those issues so we can check them out quickly. A Dallas County Sheriff's spokeswoman said to the deputy, whose name is not being released, expressed concern about his health Wednesday. "We directed that deputy to the Dallas County Health and Human Services for Care," spokeswoman Carmen Castro said. "We now wait for further information as medical staff attends to the deputy." Sergeant Chris Dyer, president of Dallas County Sheriff's Association, told our colleagues at KXAS-TV that the deputy is not exhibiting classic symptoms of Ebola, such as a high fever. Rather, he said the deputy didn't feel well and went to see a doctor. Dyer said that the deputy and 4 other deputies accompanied Dallas County Health Director Zachary Thompson into the apartment, most without protective gear. Wow. I want to make sure that Dallas County and the Dallas County Sheriff's Department is doing everything they can to keep us safe, Dyer said. He said deputies met Friday with health officials and heard a presentation about Ebola. The association suggested they take their temperatures twice a day. Some had returned to work and some hadn't, he said. A vehicle cordoned off the Care Now parking lot is registered to Dallas County Sheriff's deputy who went into Duncan's apartment last week, according to a story that appeared on WFAA's website earlier this week. Our Naheed Rajwani, and Holly Hacker report the patient arrived about 3 p.m. at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in North Dallas, where Duncan died this morning. When the ambulance arrived, the driver got out wearing a beige full protective suit. He and a second paramedic in full protective gear escorted the man inside, one of them with a gloved hand on the patient's back. The patient wore blue shorts and a white plastic cap with a blue mask over his face. Others around him wore no protective gear. They helped him onto a gurney, and with the help of a third person and the hospital doors shut, a hospital official then asked reporters to clear the area. We're trying to minimize impact to other people's care. Hospital officials released a statement saying they are prepared to give the man the care he needs and determine what exactly he's suffering from. Right now, there are more questions than answers about this case, the statement reads. A professional staff of nurses and doctors is prepared to examine the patient, discuss any findings with appropriate agencies and officials. In Frisco, other patrons and staff at the urgent care clinic were being examined and may also be taken to the hospital for further monitoring. Care Now spokeswoman Vicki Johnson said the patient checked yes to one of the screening questions regarding travel to West Africa. People at the Frisco shopping center surrounding Care Now have mixed feelings about the disease, possible spread, and health officials' ability to keep people safe. Our Valerie Wigglesworth reports. Wow. I'm scared, one man who stopped to check out the scene said. Larry Payton of Little Elm had stopped at the Valerio gas station next to Care Now to check out the scene. He said he wasn't that concerned about getting Ebola, but suggested quarantines for people coming from West Africa. There's no sure way of stopping it, he said. Andrea Wheeler has 3 kids and said she is nervous about sending them to school. When it hits this close to home, what do? She said people have been joking about Ebola in Dallas. It just goes to show you how you can't get away from it, she said. Why would you want to? Why would you want to avoid something that could take your loved ones' lives? At least jokes are bringing awareness. I mean, I'm not, I posted a few. Nick Foster, who works in Frisco, said he thought police and fire personnel outside the Care Now should be taking better precautions, like wearing gloves and masks. Oh, it gets crazy. Wait a minute here. I was just starting to relax about the Dallas case, he said, adding that this possible Frisco case makes him nervous. It is the first time we've ever had anything this serious in the U.S., he said. And these are updates that's earlier in the day, but what I wanted to say was that place is still open. BP Earthwatch from another YouTube channel made a video earlier, and he had called that particular Care Now facility to see if they were open, and they told him, yeah, we're open until 10. They wouldn't discuss anything about what happened today, other than that was the location of this incident, but they told them they were open until 10. Wow. And, I'm hearing that now the WHO and the CDC are more or less getting to a point to where they're being forced to admit that this is airborne. Folks, you got to protect yourself. Whether it be, a firearm to protect yourself from intruders or whatever the case may be, whether it's a winter coat to protect yourself from the winter cold. Big Brother's not going to come and put your coat on for you in December. You've got to put your coat on yourself. Make sense? You know, if you have a small grease fire in the kitchen, you're making bacon. Yay, bacon. And you have a small grease fire in your kitchen. Who can do a better job of stopping it from getting worse? You standing there with a fire extinguisher? Or you standing there with a phone dialing 911 and waiting for the fire department to get there? Folks, there's a misconception in this country, and that misconception is the word first responders. I mean, no, absolutely no disrespect to those that work in the field of police or the firemen or the paramedics. I mean, no disrespect, but they are not first responders. They are second responders. First responders are those people that are right there at the scene at the time. Those are first responders. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's stop using words in the English language to make things sound totally different than what they actually are. That's a very, very dangerous precedent to set. If somebody stops breathing and it's going to take 5 minutes for the ambulance crew to get there, I would say that the person on scene would probably be the most important thing to save that person's life, via CPR or whatever the case may be. Basic first aid, whatever the case may be. Yeah, it's a fact. This is no different. We are going to have to protect ourselves. That is a fact. If we wait for them to start telling the truth, if we wait for them before we start getting supplies together, before we start doing that prepping thing, it's going to be too late. Because when and if they do make the announcement, you're going to have a rush of people going. You know how hard it was to find an American flag after 9/11? I know that may sound strange for me to bring that up, but do you know how hard it's going to be to find any type of mask when they admit that this has gone airborne? So I would highly suggest you either get online, you order some supplies, some masks, the things you need now, or you get in your car and you go to the store and you get some masks there. Talk to your family, get some plans laid out. You know, husbands and wives, moms, dads, talk to one another. Get your plans laid out, including when are you going to call it for school? At what time are you going to say, our children are no longer going to go to school? At what time are you going to say, I'm no longer going to go to work? My lovely girlfriend works in a public environment, and we've already had this discussion. So, you know, yeah, something that you got to do. It's not pretty. Life's not pretty. It's not. We can't ignore it. It's not just going to go away. It's not a bad dream. This is real. And you're not going to hear the right information on the mainstream media or anywhere else. I urge you to bookmark. Keep an eye out on the Watchman News Facebook page. Within the next couple of days, I will have a list up there of different pages. Right here on Jason's page here, the Saving the Truth Movement page, right here. Wonderful, valuable sources of information right here under our top picks for daily updates. Check it out. Folks, we came together for a reason, and it's my belief that the Heavenly Father is behind this. It really is. So now the ball's in your court. What are you going to do? It's what I got for you. May God bless you. May He walk with you. Always, always, always be one with your spirit. I love you all. Hang in there. going to get bumpy. I'll see you tomorrow.